Welcome to another episode of Dad Can We Talk. I'm your host, Anthony Ray, and this is episode 72. Man, y'all listen, man, this is the first episode of the year. I took a couple of weeks off of doing interviews. Y'all haven't, for those that really listen to the podcast, y'all know I just did a special episode that focused on me. I had a lot of stuff I needed to get off my chest. So for those that listen to it, y'all now know where I am. Y'all know where I stand. I kind of gave y'all the insight into my life. You know I interview a lot of people all the time on the regular and getting other people's stories. And I put little bits and snips, of my life in there a lot of times. But I wanted y'all to really know who Anthony Ray is, the host of this show. I got a lot of stuff going on, man. So, like I always say, man, y'all keep praying for me, man. For real, because I got some stuff going on, but I keep it pushing.
That's right.
I don't allow the things that I go through to make me stop or give up, because I know that there's a lot of people that's counting on me, including my wife and my own kids, man. So, I keep it pushing. So, I'm thankful to those that did give me a call or shot me a text, to check up on me and make sure I'm all right. I greatly appreciate that, man, because at times, honestly, I feel like ain't nobody in my corner like that. Yeah. I kind of tell myself that sometimes, like, nobody don't care about what you got going on. But I know that ain't the truth, man. I know it's a lot of brothers out there that love me, that care about me, and a lot of sisters that reach out to me and make sure I'm all right. I just wanted to let y'all know that I'm thankful. So, but for the issue at hand, man, I'm sitting here with one of my OGs, man. Y'all listen, I got an OG.
It's an OG.
Yeah, OG, man, for real.
I'm a young buck, Somebody OG, yeah. I get.
I got an OG, man. He a young brother, but he an OG to me. When I look at this man and I think about who he is, he one of the men that I really look up to. He's one of them people that, like when I think of a leader, I think about this man, spiritual leader, wow. A leader of men, that's who he is. His whole aura, that's who he is, man. And I know there's a lot of other people that know this man. If you know him, you know what I'm talking about. I had a couple people reach out to me and was like, "Oh yeah, I know that brother up. Well, he gonna be good." I was like, "Yes, sir. It's on." So, man, y'all listen. I want y'all to welcome to the show my man Byron, or AKA Gabriel Lewis. Let's get it, man. Yeah. So, welcome. Let's do it, man. How you feeling, my boy?
Man, I'm great. I'm blessed.
Yes, sir.
I'm blessed. It is truly a refreshing.
Yeah.
And I'm honored. I've watched you pursue your purpose.
Yeah.
And one thing about pursuing your purpose, you don't get to determine the challenges that come. But like you say, you the type of person, you're relentless, you know, and you got your mind made up and you're focused. And so when you see people like that, you can glean from that. You can glean from the work ethic, the drive, and knowing that you got a beautiful family and you're in school and you got your own business and you work and you got all these things. You're a breath of fresh air. You kind of like your reminder of when we get up and we see you on the social media, you're doing your thing. Like I gotta keep going. I gotta keep going. And so all of what you carrying, you also releasing, purpose for everyone else that's kind of in the same field, trying to inspire the people in our community. Reach out to young men, older men, fathers. To kind of, to give them words of encouragement, allow them to express what's going on, and so to kind of be featured. To be here, I'm honored. So I'm honored. So it's I'm excited, man. I'm excited for what what they call this Roman year, what it has for us. We Hebrews, so our calendar a little different.
Yes, sir.
But how be it, you're in this world and we're trying to find our purpose and our destiny, and to be a light to someone in our community. That's what it's about. It's not about being different. It's about making the difference. So I dedicate my life to making the difference in the lives of people that I come in contact.
Straight up. I love that, man. Hey, I just want to let you know, man, you are worthy of this right here, boy. You had to be on here. Oh, it wouldn't be right. It wouldn't be Dad Can We Talk if we ain't have my dog on. So, man, let's get right into it. My first question is always the same. on the show. So first question I want to ask you is, what was your relationship like with your dad? Talk about that.
Oh man, it's golden.
Yeah.
You know, my father. When I work with kids who don't have fathers, and I don't even know where to begin when I first got into this to even realize the magnitude of what that creates for young men. You hear about it, all the statistical rhetoric talk about at-risk youth and the single-parent homes. I didn't know nothing about that. For one, my dad was he was a mighty one to me. He's my hero. When people talk about who you look up to, and my daddy. You know what I'm saying? And so my father is I try to emulate everything that he is. He was a man of integrity. He was an honest man. He was a hardworking man. He actually did 25 plus years in the military. So I was a military brat. Okay. And then eventually I didn't realize how much of a spiritual man he was.
Yeah.
But I always knew that the Bible was something that kind of guided us in our family. And it was beyond going to church. My father created those moments inside of the home. And so a lot of times, sitting at the house, he had to sit at the table. He wouldn't give a Bible lesson, Yeah. And so, but we, for a while, we didn't go to churches. We didn't, we had church in our home. And, my dad was a musician, so he played the piano. We get around the piano and sing some songs. So my dad kind of inspired us beyond just working hard. He was our spiritual guide. He was a disciplinarian, not punitive, but he taught us. He put things in our home that had a structure. And so we had chores, we had responsibilities. He spoke life into us. He was very particular about everything that he did. And maybe I think the military had a lot to do with it, but it also had to do with his upbringing. My grandfather and how he raised his sons. And so that was a generational thing that has been passed on. And even in my own home, I emulate everything my dad did inside of my kids, how I treat my wife. I'm 40, I'll be 43 this year. But as a kid, I never saw my mom and dad argue. I've never seen my mom and dad be at odds. Even if they had it, I wouldn't know, And so my dad, like I said, he was a hard worker, and it allowed my mom to not have to work. She worked because she wanted to work, because she had a couple of her own businesses that she did. And so my mom was a stay-at-home mom. And so going to school, getting up, mama fixing breakfast, going to school, mama going volunteer at the school. So you saw your mama throughout the day popping up in the school. You come home, breakfast was served. Mama was home cooking breakfast. You had your chores and your things. So my upbringing was, when you talk about the role of a father, we give praise to our father for providing us that opportunity as young kids to kind of experience what I feel a home should be.
Yeah. Man, that's powerful, man. And I always say the same stuff, man. I know y'all like, I say the same stuff, but I love hearing stuff like that from men. I like to hear, I hear enough of my dad wasn't there. I know that's how I grew up. But I love to sit and talk with other men that dads were there, because it just gives me that sense. It's almost like in this time right now, I always say, I feel like people say that, oh, dads ain't this, dads ain't that. But I'm like, man, I see so many good dads right now. And then, I look at my dad's generation and where he come from, and it's like a lot of guys like me, we grew up without our dads, and we just think everybody was like that. But like, no, there's some dudes out there that had some good dads, man. But I just don't think we hear about it enough, because that was something that was like, that ain't highlighted in the media, in the news. Like, that's not the narrative.
That's not what sells. That's not what sells. Anytime you're looking at the news or you're looking at agendas, and I hate to kind of, go into this conspiracy.
No, but that's real.
But, in the Black community, they're not going to sell the positive image, and we look at what happened with Bill Cosby. All my life, all I know Bill was great figure, from Picture Page. Everybody know about Picture Page? I don't know if y'all even old enough to know what Picture Page is, but Bill Cosby had an educational curriculum called Picture Page, and he was on there. But he was like, coming up, he was an anomaly, for lack of better words, where he was one of those guys that had that positive image, and then now look at what he's going through. They tarnishing his reputation, and that has stolen his legacy. And just to kind of go back to what I'm saying, negativity is what sells. And so in our Black community, we have to kind of change that imagery, that narrative that's being put in our community, and have people that have those powerful stories about how the home should be, and interview a lot of young, a lot of men that I know that have that testimony, but that ain't what's selling. We want to hear that. We want to hear the grind. We want to hear the gutter. You know what I'm saying? I want to hear that. And for too often our kids are that's become the nomenclature that if you ain't come through the rut, if you ain't no thug, if you ain't been in prison, you ain't got no stripes, nobody want to hear from you. But the most powerfulest thing is to have someone that has not been tainted. And they still real.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I had a father, my dad, I wasn't no punk, you know what I'm saying? My dad loved on us, you know what I'm saying? When our neighborhood, I got into fights, you know what I mean? Like, I've been around the thugs or whatnot. I went to school in California, where the Bloods and the Crips play, but we didn't get tainted with that stuff because of the image and who my father was in the home. And so that shielded us from the trouble. That shielded us from the peer pressure because we had someone that we could look to that said, don't disrespect me, I'm your father. Yeah. And so our code of ethics came from him and who he was. So no matter where we went at, the boys weren't going to entice us. Yeah, there was peer pressure. You a young man, you're going to do some things. It wasn't perfect, but there was an anchor around your body. You won't even go so far. And if you decided to go too far, then my daddy going to reach out and touch. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so, but I think that that's something that we need to recapture. And I think your platform is paramount for what's going on now. Just look at the city of Gainesville and what's going on. I mean, shootings after shootings, young men losing their lives to foolishness. Choosing a life that they really don't have to choose. Gainesville have some rough stuff going on. I'm not going to dismiss the challenges that Gainesville has, but compared to a city like California, Miami-Dade, or some other places, our kids should not be giving themselves to this lifestyle. And I think your platform is going to be key in liberating what we're seeing trying to happen in our community. So yeah, man, I think we need more voices. Not saying just like me, but other voices that can send that message home. That, man, you don't have to be in the rut. You don't have to be in the bust up hood. You ain't gotta go. You ain't gotta be shot at. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to be in the game to have this story told. You can be told from people who have not been tainted.
That's real. But yeah, man, everything you saying, that's powerful, man, because I just feel like in this time, and that's one of my main reasons of doing this. My thing is I want to change the narrative that's been put out there when it's directed at us. For so many years, man, it bothered me, honestly, bro. It used to bother me when I'm in the grocery store with my kids and people would give me compliments. I'm like, and I'm like, it ain't a bad thing, but I'm like, dang, bro, like I can't be in the,
man, that's
like, now it's a good thing. I'm like, what really bothered me was when people would say stuff like, oh, you got the kids for the weekend. No, these my kids.
My kids, yeah.
Like, this ain't no, and it's like, and I felt like people would say that because, oh, it's a black man, he must be, got his kids, and, they see me as like, oh, he must be a baby dad or somebody. It's like,
or this your weekend to have the kids.
Yeah, it's like, come on, man, like, why y'all looking at me like that? But then I don't see nobody saying that to the white man walking around with his kids. It's just a normal thing for him. And so I'm like, man, it used to bother me a lot. It really did, but after a while, I'm like, man, you know what? I ain't gonna let that stuff bother me, But what I am gonna do is I'm gonna start to show people that I ain't the only one out here like this.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of other dads that do the same thing that I do. So let me create a platform so that we can change this narrative and show people that it ain't just one or two of us out here. So when I first started, that was one of my things. I'm like, man, I can go for a whole 2 years. Dad after dad after dad. And it's like, next month will be 2 years.
Wow.
Literally for this right here. So, and my list ain't even got close to exhausting the list, man. I'm like, shoot, it'd be hard for me to, pick a guest. Cause I'm like, dang, I need to get bro here on there, but I need to get him too. And then I meet another guy and I'm like, dang, I ain't got enough time.
Yeah, what you're doing is a campaign. A campaign is a military term. It's a war term. And what you're doing is you're waging war using media, to change the paradigm about what's happening in our community. And I'm telling you, like, we have to take control of all the platforms to reintroduce Black America. We got to do that. We got to take those platforms, and it's going to be grassroots. This is a grassroots thing. This is not, eventually you're gonna be mass. You're gonna be macro. But these are the humble beginnings, and I think that what you're doing is, like I said, is critical for our community to continue to do things like that, to show that what's become the abnormal thing in our community is now normal. Like negative behavior, single parent homes, deadbeat dads, that's normal. But in reality, that's abnormal. And abnormal behavior has become normal in our community. We have to change that. And so I think that these are the type of interviews. I'm not saying that any other interview is not important. Don't get me wrong. But we're just talking about from the stigma that we see in the community. We see our movies, we see our music. It's all degrading material that's impacting the young kids. And I think that social media has stolen the innocence of our young kids. The innocence when our kids are sitting there watching these images is raping them of their purity. And we're giving ourselves to that. And so you are what you eat. Our kids are what they eat. We can't be mad at little JoJo when that's all JoJo's seeing on the image. And so these platforms and many others that we're going to continue to do in our community, we're going to change that, bro.
That's real. Y'all listen, y'all keep paying attention, and y'all going to see it changing slowly but surely. It's coming. Listen, let's go here, man. What's the most important thing that you learned from your dad? If you could just think of one thing that just sticks out to you, what's that one thing?
It's a redundant, but it's integrity, and the definition is not doing things to be seen. It's the most important thing that you can do is when the cameras are not on and you're constantly being true to the moral code of what uplifts people. It's all about nationhood, nation building. And I never realized how, that was just part of my dad's mission. Like no matter where we went, he was a man of integrity. He always was able to build his own social climate where people came into his fold. He didn't compromise who he was to be a part of a order or some type of fraternity or whatever it was. He built his own, and people gravitated toward that. And he taught me how to kind of be a light, that no matter where you go, to not necessarily be seen, not necessarily be heard by what you say, but just by who you are and what you do, consistency, doing things over a period of time. And I've seen that has yielded me a lot of benefit in my life, in my marriage with my children, in my job, in my relationships with people in the community. People know that I am, I am what you see. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to project. I'm not trying to be great. I just want to impart something into someone's life and be able to receive back reciprocation. I think that's what relationship is all about. My dad kind of put that in us. Everywhere we went, he, later I found out how, I didn't know how part of a church background I was going to be in. Yeah. Other than just being at the home. But then when he felt the call to kind of really begin to pursue his call and ministry, everywhere we went as a military, you get moved every 2 or 3 years. My dad would start a ministry. He would start from out of the home, and it eventually would turn into having facilities on military bases at the chapels. And we would just see relationships forge out of the small beginnings of just having relationships with people. It wasn't always about trying to get on the pulpit and teach people. It was more about being your message, not teaching your message, but being your message. And I've just seen him impact so many lives that even as a grown man, these are the people, when I was a little kid in children's church, these people are still contacting us and keeping in contact with us to this day, and so I know that integrity and heart is the most important thing that you can do. Everything else gonna come to you when you have integrity.
That's real. You kind of went into what my next question was gonna be. My next question is, what was your experience like coming up as a pastor's kid, as a PK?
Oh man, it's a glass house. I would say that when I hear a lot of stories about PK kids, PK kids get a rough rap because their parents automatically are going to be judged based upon the children, and children gonna be hard headed. You know what I'm saying? I got my own little son. I got 4 of them, but I got one man. He that work, and sometimes when, your children display certain behaviors, it has an impact on us as parents. And so I kind of understood that, how I came about understanding. I think all my brothers kind of knew that, we were a representation of our parents in that no matter where we go, no one probably had to meet my mom and dad. All they had to do was just kind of meet me. Mm-hmm. And how I behaved would determine the nature of how people may have saw my parents. And so, coming up as a PK kid, it was kind of fun because, like I said, church wasn't the catalyst that ministered to us, that taught us. It was my dad being a man of God at home, being a husband, being a father. And I think that's the difference of what I see when when I finally, my dad retired and he came to Gainesville, and you would hear all these things about PK kids, they're the worst kids. And I was like, well, nah, I wasn't, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. That ain't my testimony, you know? But there are some things that I probably could share where, like, there are pressures, there are things that, that people may say, well, why you let his children do that? I remember in middle school, my mom said, Mom, I want to go to the dance, Sadie Hawkins dance. Friday, we had church on Friday, so it was like, Mom, I said, well, you asked your daddy? I was like, oh, snap, I gotta ask daddy. They had a pastor, So I went to ask my dad. I said, Dad, I want to go to the dance. He was like, why you want to go to the dance, son? I was like, my friend's going to be there. And what y'all going to do? Gonna hang out. I couldn't say we were gonna dance because I was gonna dance. But he still allowed us to be children, and he trusted the fact that what he instilled in us would return. The Bible says, "Train up a child in the way they should go," and when he won't depart from it. And so, I think he allowed us to be children to kind of measure his effectiveness as a father. Mm-hmm. My mom kind of allowed us to kind of go out, like I was on the all-star team, and it was kind of big, because I was a musician. I'm a musician. So as a kid, I was the piano player. I played the drums. So when the All-Star season came, I had to be out a lot because I made the All-Star team. We would travel to Nevada. We'll travel to Flagstaff, Arizona. We'll travel to Newberry, Albuquerque, New Mexico. We'd go to all these places, and that would require me to be out. And I would be around some other kids who their testimony wasn't my testimony. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? These were the kids that I went to school with, and they were cut a little different. You know what I'm saying? And so the pressure at that point was kind of on to see if I was going to be true to my upbringing, or was I going to compromise? And at the time, I didn't really know it, but there was an anchor that allowed me to still fit in. I fit in as a kid. I was cool. My friends who didn't have my background, they loved me. They appreciated me. They were my best friends. A lot of them, their households wasn't like mine. But what I say that to say that how my father raised us, it gave us the wherewithal to be in our community, to be around kids from different backgrounds and still connect, still be authentic. You know what I'm saying? And you didn't lose your sense of who you were to compromise and fit in. I tell that to my kids on my job all the time. You do not have to, there's only one you in the world. Why try and be somebody else? Nobody can be you, right? And trying to teach our kids it's all right to be you. It's all right to be a nerd. Now I tuck my shirt in. Yeah. Why you got your shirt tucked in? I thought it was cool. You know what I'm saying? And I was cool with being me. That if they rolled on me about it, I just laughed. They're like, that was a good joke. Now I'm finna get on you. So, I think that's what it was like for me. Growing up as a PK kid, my father was able to, and my mother was able to instill in us the value to be you, be authentically you, and allow that to be the reason why people like you and not compromise. And so Sunday, I would have two friends that want to go to church with me. Yeah. And then to be in our home to see that on Saturday night, you was going to eat dinner and my dad was going to be at the table. And it was going to be dishes at the big table. I ain't talking about a little small table. I'm talking about a big old table, king's table. Yeah. Daddy at this end, mom at this end, my brothers. And to be able to reach across and grab a pot roast and some rice and kids sitting looking like, what is this? I don't even know what that looked like. What that looked like? That was every day in our home. You know what I'm saying? That was every day. Breakfast. You was going to sit there and you wait for daddy to get there and daddy sit around the table. All right, Brian, pray us in. All right. And you prayed. And your friends still looking like, and they're not like, they're drawn in. Yeah. They're like, and you could see at that time in the head, like, well, dang, this does not happen at my house. We get our food, everybody in a little room, eating a bowl of cereal for dinner. You know what I'm saying? We were sitting around eating full-fledged course meals. And after we ate, we would talk. It was just kind of normal. We thought that was how everybody did until my mom rarely allowed us to go spend the night with people, but people could spend the night with us. And I didn't realize it now, but I can see that my mom and dad was not just fathering me, but they were having an opportunity to father other children. And so in a 2-year period, our house became a refuge. People would come, and my dad would be out there being an all-time quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Be in the backyard, you know, and kids would just love First Sergeant Lewis, Gunny Sergeant Lewis, or, you know, or whoever what rank he was. And so it was a blast growing up in our home, because it was like our house became a city on the hill. Mm-hmm. You know, kids would come from all backgrounds, and they respected my father. Everybody knew you couldn't cuss, because they also knew we never cussed around our kids. We would slip, you know, but for the most part, people could tell we were cut differently. They could tell, like, they get haircuts. They tuck they t-shirt in their gym shorts. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, we was out there, but we was cool with it. It was just like, we weren't nerds, you know what I'm saying? You know, my mom, we would sit down at night, and my mom would put us between her legs, and she would grease our scalp. She would lotion our bodies. You know what I'm saying? My dad, we didn't go to the barbershop. My dad cut our hair. So everything that we needed came out of our homes. You know, we didn't have to look nowhere. So it was a safe place. It was a place of training, place of discipline, place of love. You know, a place to every emotion that you have, you could do it at the house, but you couldn't disrespect now. You be getting up off the ground. I done got caught maybe 2 or 3 times by my dad. You know, talking out of turn, popping my lips. But it was, in all that, you know, it was. I look back, and I wouldn't be the man I am today, and that's why I've dedicated my life, you know, to working with inner city kids to pass that on. To let our kids know that you do not have to go through death, you know, to be able to be respected. You know, that hood life is give you stripes in our communities right now. You know, so that nigga about that. You know what I'm saying? That ain't my tale. I wasn't about nothing. I was about going to school. I was a clown, like to have fun. You know, I didn't drink, I didn't smoke. You know, so I ain't started drinking until at our church, they started having wine, real wine. You know what I'm saying? And the reason being, now on my mom's side, you know, my uncle's drunk heavy. You know what I'm saying? And when you would see the type of behavior they would display, so it was like, well, that drinking the devil. You know what I'm saying? And that's where that whole philosophy in church come from. When you drink, you kind of lose your mind. You know? But yeah, man, it was man. If I can go back to my childhood days. Go back to the future. Take me back. You know? Yeah.
Man, listen. All that is so real. And y'all be talking about taking daddies out the house. Like, this is ridiculous. Society has lost its mind, man. Trying to take away the daddy. But that's the thing. They don't want these type of stories. They don't want these types of testimonies, because that's the power of having, and not just daddy, but mama too, because mama is important also. And that's why I always say this show, this is Dad Can We Talk, because I want to focus on the dads, but this ain't no disrespect to the mamas out there, because we need mama and we need daddy. And that's one thing that I just want people to see, the importance of daddy plays a role, mama plays a role. And when mama and daddy work together, the kids get everything that they need. And that's something, it's like, I feel like they try so hard, man, to destroy what God created. You know, where it's mama and daddy in the house. Like, that's what we need to see. That's what we need. You know, we need more stuff like what you talking about, like all that stuff you talking about. I think, boy, I ain't never saw that. Shoot, boy, I ain't never ate dinner like that ever in my. Still to this day, it's like, it just ain't something that's stuff that we saw on TV. So when I would see something like that, if I was in a house like that, I'd be looking like, dang, bro, I saw that on Home Alone. You know, something like that. In the white movies, you know, that's what we see. You know, and it's like, not growing up with that. You know, it affects you, bro. Like, it affects you even as now that I'm a dad now, and my wife, she grew up like me. So now me and my wife together, it's like we're trying to raise children, and both of us grew up in these broken homes. Bro, that is so difficult to break those habits, or should I say some of the stuff is curses, bro. You know, to break those things, the curses and the habits of growing up in broken homes, and now we're having children together, and like trying to break that stuff, bro, it's so difficult, bro.
Yeah, I remember being in youth ministry, and a brother that actually I work with now. But he had his message that he preached, and his message was start nothing, won't be nothing. And a lot of times, a lot of things that we've seen in our communities throughout, you're talking about slavery and that whole construct and what it did to the psychology of us. And then you got the Jim Crow, and then you got the Civil Rights Movement, and now you got the mass incarceration. And there's a doctor, Dr. Joy McGrory. I don't know if anybody studies her, but she has this study that talks about the post-traumatic slave syndrome. That trauma can be passed down through pregnancy of a woman. It was like, how that happen? He ain't even got a mind yet. How you be affected in your mind? One of the things that doctors tell our women that when they're pregnant to not be stressful because it has an impact on the child, right? Matter of fact, that when you hunt an animal, there's a way that you kill the animal. Because if you kill the animal and the first shot doesn't hurt him, what he does in his blood, he releases certain chemicals where the meat becomes stale. So there's a way that when you're going through trauma, what it affects the body. So when we talk about slavery and what our women had to be through, running through the woods, running through the woods trying to have these children, and not realizing the stress that child was being birthed in. You know, and it's amazing. You go to the Bible, they would name a child based upon the condition that they were in. You know, Mephibosheth was dropped out of child. One person named their child Ichabod. Ichabod meant the glory had departed. So based upon what was going on in society, our ancestors would name their children that, right? And name, it carries purpose. You know what I mean? And so you got so many things in the Black community that we are experienced that has been a detriment to who we are at our core. We're rich people. We're resilient people. With all that we've been through, who would have thought that we would still be a nation of people smiling, trusting, trusting the people who did us wrong, brought us to this country. I can't remember this what's the white lady that she always does a reverse. She's a psychologist too, but she talked about can Black people be racist? And people were like, yeah. And it was like, well, what can Black people do to affect your livelihood? What can Black people in America do to affect your economics? Nothing. And so all these constructs has an impact on our mentality, on our person as a male. What I'm supposed to do as a male, what I'm supposed to do as a woman. And then our experiences on top of that, you already got the media and how they're presenting us. And then you have the trauma that you dealt with as a kid. And when we talk about trauma, we don't want to make light of that if I'm in a home where all my mom does is yell at me to correct me, that's trauma. Or if I see my mom and my dad going through as a kid and I'm watching these arguments play out, trauma. God forbid, as a young boy you get touched, or a young girl you get touched. Trauma. Then you go to a school and you're not able to perform and you're judged by the teacher to say, well, you got an F. Trauma. You're talking about layers upon layers upon layers. And then to be Black, to go to the park and I got big lips. Oh, big lip nigga.
Yeah.
Trauma. The little girl, because she don't look like someone else. And so in our experience as Black people, man, we breed traumatic nature. We don't know it because that's what we call, that's the Black experience. We got to fix that.
Yeah.
That's poisonous what we're raising our generation in. And we say, come on, be tough. So then don't get mad when Johnny don't have the emotion to cry because crying been frowned on. Be tough. Don't get mad when Johnny all he know to throw them bowls because you taught your boy if he come out the mouth wrong, knock that joker out, right? So we are part of the problem. Yeah, there was a hidden hand that put the poison and said, all right, and framed it up real nice, and once our men, gave in to, well, I guess this is what it's got to be, and then the domino effect. Once they was able to get it into the community, take the father out, Tell the woman you're independent, you don't need no man, you can be bad by yourself. Subsidized housing, Section 8, welfare. The only way black people can get it, the man had to be out the house. It's the only way he can get services from the government. And so a lot of our men, because when they went to the wars and they fought, came back with a little pocket change, thinking they was going to be able to go buy a house, but they got redlined. Trauma, right? So we're talking about, since we've been in this nation, all we've known is trauma, but trauma is the black experience, and it's normal. And if you ain't been through no trauma, you ain't real. And we got to kill that, man. We got to kill that. That's the poison that's plaguing us. And it's not even known. We're kind of now doing it to ourselves because we've accepted the nomenclature of trauma being a real experience that every kid need to go to, and he got to be toughened up to it. And if it does happen, you do need coping mechanisms. You do need to teach our young people how to cope with the trauma that has happened to them. But they need the healing, they need the psychology, they need the counseling. In the black community, we frown on that because I ain't crazy. We talking about ain't nothing wrong with me. Oh yes, it is. And I think this platform is going to be key for that. This is going to be therapeutic, you know, for a lot of people to be able to have a platform and allow God to give you the wisdom to navigate these conversations, to have people pour out that poison, get it out of them. You know what I mean? And sometimes we see poison, it don't have to come out nasty. It can come out in brokenness and tears. And it'll be liberating. After that conversation, they'll be like, man, I appreciate that, man. I enjoyed this. You know? Right. I think we have to have more of that, man. So
definitely.
And I kind of went on a tangent. But, you
know. No, but that was when you talking that talk. And that's stuff that people, that type of talk right there make a lot of people uncomfortable. You know? But that's what we have to talk about. We got to talk about the fact that at times I know I still do it. You know, like you talked about the yelling at the kids. Me, at times, just today, boy, them kids had me so hot this morning, and I just went off on them. And I found myself in times of stress, especially in high stress moments. You know, I'm just getting off work, and I go pick the kids up from school. And I'm already aggravated from the job mostly and just everything else going on. And then I get home and the kids start to act up. Oh my God, I'm going off. And I'm saying stuff, I'm yelling, you know, and
but think about that, what you said. We give our best to our jobs, apart from our children, apart from our wives. We give our best. We go to work with a smile, they happy, rejuvenated. By the time you leave that job, you're frustrated. And then you come home and give the leftovers. You know, to our children, and we don't know we're creating stressful environments or how that kid is seeing daddy respond. Yeah, that's how they gonna respond. Right. You know what I mean? And so we got to really pump the brakes. You know what I'm saying? I remember getting in trouble, and mama would be done call, hey, you know, Byron got in trouble at school today, and my dad, what he would do, he would say, you know, if he was come home from work, he was kind of looking. He's like, go to my room. I'm gonna talk to you later. He'd be in the room, he'd be like, man, he's finna get me. But what he's doing is he's allowing the stress of the day to dissipate before he come and deal with his children about something. Because he didn't want to be whipping me for something that happened on the job. All right. Yeah. That he kind of hit me real hard. Usually he didn't hit you hard because you did something bad. That was something that happened at the job. You just happened to be the whipping block. And sometimes our verbal communication to our kids be more than what the action required from, because we got other stressors that's permeating through our relationship with our children. Not to say, you know, our wives are like, you know, I was jokingly said it, but I thought about it. If I had to save my family, you know, my dad said this one time, I didn't understand it. He said, it was in the burning buildings. Dad, who you gonna come get? You gonna get us or you get mama? He said, I'm gonna get mama. He said, I can always have some more kids. Yeah. Hold on now, you know. But my dad he knew that, you know, a lot of times in the black community, our black women do get kind of left in the sauce in relationship, because children are taxed. Children demand a lot. So when you do get children, make sure you and your wife want to have children, because wife, you know, at some point we're going to gravitate to our young boys, you know what I'm saying? You know, not saying we're going to dissipate our young girls, because I think sometimes that happens in relationship too with children. Most men, we love our boys. That's like that prized possession. You know, in the antiquity, every king wanted a what? He wanted a son he can pass the lineage to. And so our women, the female, and I'm not this man run and then the women. Yeah, to a degree. There's the biological makeup of man. We can handle more. Our body structure can handle more. We're not emotionally connected to a lot. Lately, that's different. Men are a lot more emotional these days than our women. Women kind of like they're the roles in reverse. Our women just kind of like, what's wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? I'm going through a lot. Hey, get your emotions intact, bro. Yeah. But to kind of go back, I think that we got to start detaching ourselves from this American culture, economic society that steals our essence. We work hard. We trying to get the right job. We're trying to get the most money. We're trying to get certified and get all these things. And the beginning stages of your family is the most important. That's where you need to be pouring all your seed, all your motivation, all your innovation into that. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of like in the back trying to like, man, maybe I should have built the business with my family first if I wouldn't start. I got a career. A lot of times we go chase these careers and realize these careers can't provide for my family like I need to. And so I think that when we talk about trauma, we talk about roles and all these things, I think the society of America, and no fault to America, is just that's how the system of America, where you want to get rich, you got to grind. And we have given ourselves to this system that really wasn't built for us, first of all. We weren't supposed to have millionaires like this. That wasn't the goal. Some kind of way, the scripture says that Judah's a lion wealthy. We're going to find a way to get the oppressor off of us. By any means necessary. Sometimes not even by hand-to-hand combat. It's just we intellectually smart enough to navigate around challenges and say, okay, I'll tell you what I will do. And I think that at some point we even got to kind of stop that cycle and begin to focus on the family. You can't build a nation without a family.
That's real. And
our children and our wives need the best of us as men, not the leftovers. Not when you done went out and tried every chick on the street because she fine and then you want to settle that. Whoever you sit down with needs to have the best of you. Why she can't have the first experience? Yeah. Why all the other chicks got to have the best of you? And now you kind of like, you 35, 38. Libido trying to go down. You ain't when you was a Thundercat,
yo, boy.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that we are allowing the freedom of being able to experience things at the same time. It's robbing us of our innocence when it talks about how we treat women, how we treat our children, our experiences in our young days, being agile and, chest right, skiing tight, you know what I'm saying? You can go a couple of rounds, but you giving up some things that you might want to reserve for an appointed time. And so I think that we need to kind of reintroduce us as a people when we talk about family, business, economics, health, wealth. We need to revisit our paradigm and begin to reintroduce what that is for us as a people.
Yeah, man. This man talking to me today. Listen to me. Dad, Can We Talk for me, man. This Dad, Can We Talk is for Anthony Ray. Just so happens, all the rest of y'all get this. But this for me, man, 'cause I need help. And this man helping me today. Listen, this man preaching. So I hope y'all getting this, But I want to go here. At what point did you meet your wife, and how did she play a part in your trajectory and where you are now, to the point of where you are as the man you are now? What role did that woman play in? I want you to talk about that baby.
Yeah, man. So, my wife is, if you follow me on Facebook, every opportunity I get to kind of, share with Facebook world the love I have for my wife. If you go on my Facebook page, you can kind of see those. My wife I married my best friend. Yeah. And I think that's the simplest way to put it. When we talk about, why I chose her, because I was trying to marry my mom. Right? My mom was everything that I knew a woman should be. In her essence. My mom's a general. First of all, my mom is not that, my mom, she grew up in Gainesville, on the outskirts called Moneo. I know Moneo kids, right? So most people in Gainesville, you probably related to me, whether you know it or not. I got so many cousins and relatives. But my mom grew up in Moneo. And she grew up around trauma too. You know what I'm saying? When you grow up in the country, everything, anything could happen in the country. You know, you can kill somebody, don't nobody find out. You bury the person. You know, you know, all that stuff happened in the country. But my mom, you know, one of the things that I watched her, she was able to raise 4 boys, and I think some of the toughest times for my mom probably wasn't, but if I had to pick one, was when my dad had to go off to war. So when the Gulf War happened, when Osama bin Laden, Saddam Hussein, and Hadid, and Somalia, and all these wars happened, my dad got sent off for a year or 2. And when he got sent off, the gig was on my mom. 4 boys, you know what I mean? And sometimes you can wait for daddy to get home, you know, because mom gonna fuss, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And she also gonna take that belt out and whip you. And my dad had a way of whipping you where he gonna hit you on your backside. He gonna make sure. But mama, she might catch you around the little neck, like mama. You know what I'm saying?
She wild with it.
But my mom, her ability to communicate was so powerful because she had a way with words that cut deeper than a belt could hit. You know what I'm saying? And she loved hard. She loved so hard where you aim to please my mom. So many men, young men, they love my mom. You know, to this day, my mom has a way of she's mastered raising boys. She don't care what background you're from. My mom can tame anything. You know, and so, you know, you kind of want to see that in the woman that I was going to spend the rest of my life with. You know, my thing for me wasn't to fail in my marriage. Many people don't know, but my wife is the only woman sexually that I've known. I have known no other woman. I didn't lose my virginity until after we got married. You know, so I got married at 24. So I was a virgin from the time I came to earth, navigating all this peer pressure. But it didn't seem like peer pressure because when we talk about the upbringing and like church for me wasn't just, you know, going to church because my daddy did it. My dad had a way of instilling the values in us that built a code of ethics that you owned it as a kid. Like, man, I want to live for God. I want to be like David. I want to be like Josiah. I want to be like the Hebrew boys when they were little kids and they didn't bow to the system. My dad made these stories real to us that you don't have to bow. That when the music is played, you ain't got to bow down to the image. You know, by any means necessary. If it calls you to die, because one day you won't have to die for this faith. You know, we hear all these messages coming up as kids. So that I was able to take that and translate it into what I was going to bow to. And not saying, and I wasn't no ugly kid. You know, there were other kids that I thought they had bigger shoulders than me. You know what I'm saying? But I had girls that came on to me. You know what I'm saying? I had situations where the lines were blurred, but I didn't cross them because there was something in me that said, hold on, I ain't going that far now. You know, we can kiss. You know what I'm saying? We can hunch. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Oh, did y'all hunch coming up?
We hunt. Yeah.
Right. So you got all these things that you've been through, but there was still some anchor. You know, something that my mom and dad instilled in me that I wanted to reserve that special thing with someone that I wanted to commit the rest of my life to. And so I've been married now for 18 years. I got 4 children. Boy, OG, and I remember being at church out in Moneo, you know, and I'm on the piano, and you know, being on the piano. When you're a piano player in church, you know, most musicians who grew up in church, our PK kids who grew up in church, you know, that most of the young kids are going to gravitate towards the PK kids, all right? And if the PK kid wants to, he can pretty much be bad at church.
Yeah, boy.
I ain't trying to tell on y'all pastors' kids. I'm telling you. Yeah. And but for us, that wasn't the case. We didn't allow our youth ministry to be a playground. You know what I'm saying? We respected it, and we treated the young sisters in our church as sisters. You know, we respected the brothers as our brothers. We rolled harder with our brothers in church than we did some of our biological brothers, and they became dear unto us. And so you built a code of ethics with friends that, man, don't let me slip up, cuz hold me up now. She fine, dog, but come on, y'all. And so all these things were part of, you know, of what allowed me to endure the challenges of being a single man, testosterone, puberty, all these things, girls coming on to you. How do you handle that? And meeting her, because she was a woman of standard, she was also the splitting image of me. You know what I'm saying? She grew up in church. However, she didn't know her dad. She never met her dad. She met him later, maybe 5 years ago on Facebook. Black joker too. My wife, she your color, right? She red. And but she grew up in church all her life, been around, music. Her mom was a great musician, and so I was a musician. I grew up around playing instruments. So I think she kind of outside of maybe what I look like, I think who I was as a person. I think that was part of her decision to choose me. Well, not choose, but to accept the fact that I chose her. And from the time that I kind of befriended her, my mom was like, "Well, that wife material right there, wife material," And then meeting her grandparents raised her, and so going to visit her home and kind of seeing how her father was a hard worker. He was a money man. Always had money. Always had cars, Cadillacs, old school whips, F-150s. Had everything. You know what I'm saying? And my wife at the time, my girlfriend, was like, something must be real special about you because Spence alone don't let no Negroes come up through here. Yeah. And in a short span of time, being her friend and really starting to like her, but respecting her, her father really entreated me. And I was driving the whips. You know what I'm saying? I was in the hoopty, and none of all the uncles are like, "You let him drive the hoopty?" You know what I'm saying? So I think naturally being her friend is what really built why we have the relationship that we have. And so my wife, man, she serves me, man. She gives her entire existence to me before we had children. My wife loved me. I make no mistakes about it. Submissive is just a byproduct of our friendship. It's not like you gonna do it. That ain't. We don't have to force those attributes in our relationship. They naturally happen. She respects me. I love her. I give my life for her. We got one bank account. And a lot of times she run it. It don't matter. Not that I don't have the propensity to do it. It's just she take care of the family. Yeah. So she buy groceries. She cooks. She buy clothes. She buy furniture. She makes sure everything we have in the house. So it's like, make a credit card, do what you got to do, and be able to go and look at the savings account, see you got money there. She's a Proverb 31. You know what I mean? And so, but even prior to that, I had some surgery before we got married, and I was down, and I remember when I went into the room for surgery because it was late at night when I had to go in and get this emergency surgery. But when I woke up in the triage, she was sitting right there. Yeah. And then for the next 2 weeks, she would be sitting at my feet. I was in a rocking chair healing, and she'd be right there. You know what I'm saying? Just being right there, being my friend, making sure I had what I had. And so I fell in love with this friend. You know what I mean? And one of the things I asked myself why I chose, I was like, could I imagine walking away from this relationship and 2 years down the road see her holding hands with another man? That infuriated me. That I got mad. I was like, I got married. I couldn't imagine another man, holding her, taking care of her outside of me. And so I knew that was the one that I needed to spend the rest of my life with. And I'm telling you, 18 years I don't even feel like it. I feel like me and my wife are still in the beginning stages of our marriage. It's so refreshing to be her husband and her be my wife and to have our children. My stress has nothing to do with my family. My stress comes from being on this job. Being at my job, you know what I'm saying? And that's just part of, the nature of my job and what I do. I work in the community with families, with kids. And so automatically there's stress that come with it. But the relief is when I get home and walk and I see my kids and I see my wife coming home because she worked too. And just sitting in the living room watching my kids run and I get recharged. So that my wife, man, she is my motivator. She reinvigorates me. You know what I'm saying? She ministers to me. She know when I ain't feeling right. And she knows how to speak to me. She know how to be mad with me and we still go through our little mad but the day don't go by, we ain't back to sync. We don't let the sun go down and we at odds.
Yeah. Man. For those of y'all that asked the question on why I get married, my man just gave you the answer. Who wouldn't want that? I mean, who would not want that? Who ain't looking for that? For those that say you ain't looking for that, you a lying. You lying, you a liar. And I'm telling you, because that's what we all looking for. We're all looking for a partner, a life partner that, how they say, be his peace. we all looking for that woman that's gonna be the peace.
Yeah.
That's what you're looking for, man. Come on, y'all. Here, I don't want to go too much on it.
Sure, please.
But we're gonna talk about it later. I gotta go. No, we're gonna go there. So I got some other stuff, but I gotta go on this because you're a person that I can talk to this about. Now, I was talking with my wife one time, and I was telling her, I was like I say it all the time, I wish my wife was the only person that I ever touched. And the reason I always say that, I was talking with a young man once before. He was telling me he was a virgin. He was like 18. I'm like, bro, please, bro. Like, if I can't tell you nothing else, bro, do not get that away, bro. Please don't, bro. He was like, bro, it'd be so hard. I'm like, I understand all that. Bro, do it for yourself, bro. Yeah. You will be so much happy. I'm like, it might sound like you thinking you missing something. Bro, listen to me. I'm the person that can tell you ain't missing nothing. Because mine been gone, And it wasn't even like that. It was like, I think 17. But after that, it was like, I'm wild. And I think it really got me once I got a taste of it and you awaken that, what I want to call it, that hunger, that appetite for it. And then I ended up getting hurt by my ex-girlfriend. So I'm like, oh, I'm finna be a dog. I got to be, like, me now. And it's like, from that point on, nothing never really fulfilled me. Like, because it ain't no woman gonna fulfill, like, you can keep chasing them desires, bro. They just gonna keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You're gonna want something better. And you keep going there, and after a while, you realize, like, I mean, it's kind of the same thing, bro. You just doing it with a different person. Yeah. And it's like, I always tell myself, I just wish, bro, like, I would have allowed my wife to be that only person, because I think it's harder. Then once you've had all those experiences with different women, then when you say, I'm going to settle down, I'm going to get married, I'm going to have this one woman. Now you've had these past experiences now. So now, even though I'm giving myself to my wife and I've made this commitment to my wife, but now I might see a woman that looked like someone that I've had. I might see a woman that I've had. And now these thoughts play back in my mind, and now it's hard for me, and now I'm fighting temptation now. Now that temptation it's something that's common to me, because I've had one that's like this, one that's like this, a Spanish one, all these different ones. And it does nothing for you. Literally, it does nothing. So to hear nothing, and I the last time me and my wife had this conversation, I'm like, dang, I can't have a conversation with nobody, because I don't know nobody who. I was like, the only person I can talk to with it is Tim Tebow. Yeah. But I can't get my hands on him. Oh, Tim. I say I can't get my hands on Tim, so I don't know who I'm gonna talk to, because I don't know anyone that's married. A man that's married. I got women. I got a cousin. One of my women cousins, she saved her virginity till she got married. But I'm like, I want to talk to a man that actually went through that and see if it's something that's real, because I'm like, I just feel like I wouldn't have as much temptation as I have sexually if I didn't have all the sexual experiences that I had. And it's like, and then on top of all the experiences I had, then on top of that, I watched porn. Oh yeah. So it's like, I created something within myself that now it's like, I gotta fight this thing every day, bro, because I'm seeing something like, damn, but she remind me of so and so. She remind me of, and it's like, in your mind, you playing back all these things. As much as you don't, like, and I'm like, boy, if only I could go back, bro, I would have never did that, because I feel like it made my life harder. Especially now trying to be an upright man and, being committed to a woman. I'm like, man, if I could tell a young man anything, listen, bruh, it ain't worth it. It just ain't. It ain't even worth it.
A lot of the mind thinking of the man's supposed to, it's bred in us. Like, we don't realize how the society, and even, our uncles, our fathers, our big brothers, it's important to protect the mind of young kids. If you protect their mind and you give them something outside of the sexual sensation hypersexual society that we're in. Our kids are being fed that from the cartoons now. Women look like well, this is a cartoon. Why she got breasts? Why can't he see the cleavage? This regular cartoon. And so already your children are being exposed. First of all, it's natural to have a desire to see a woman and be like, man, because men, we stimulate by what we see. And so there's a whole construct of why we feel like it cannot be done. And even though I was sheltered, my mom was very particular about girls coming to our house and what type of girl, and my mom made it very clear with girls come around that she kind of demanded, like, if you was fast, don't come around here, particularly fast mind way. She was protecting her babies, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, you will know a child, you'll know a parent based upon their children. So if you got this young girl who's flamboyant and going around, more than likely, not saying you're judging the parent, but what you are saying about the parent, she's not watching her children. Therefore, I can't trust my son or trust my children around this young girl. Not because I don't like her, but something that I don't like is possibly can impact my children. And as parents, that's where it starts at protecting the mind of our young boys. And the mom and the dad having a right relationship as husband and wife, where you see it in your children, they desire that. One day I'm gonna have someone like mommy. You know what I mean? And when you see women that don't embody mommy, no matter how fine she is, you'll see an attribute. First of all, if you see her and all you see is her body, that should be strike one. Because she's looking for attention. And if she don't get it from you, she gonna get it from somebody, right? And so our women gotta understand that if you're using your body for a man's attention, and don't be mad that that's all you get. You see what I'm saying? And so there's a whole psychology around what we've subjected ourselves to, even our women. And for me, it was just being active as a young kid and other activities outside of just being around girls or playing and stuff like that. I think that as much as you can, I had kids who were promiscuous, young boys who had already crossed the line and be love you. And it was just like, nah, I'm straight, cuz, you know what I'm saying? You find ways to not say no. Sometimes you lie, oh yeah, I'm on that. You know what I'm saying? You did what you had to do to fit in. Don't get me wrong, I did all that. But I think that for me, I don't know. All I know is excellence in sex. Because that's all I've had. What can I compare excellence to? You see what I'm saying? And so my first moment was heaven. And every time after is what? It's heaven. Because I don't know Susan. I don't know how Susan did this trip. I don't know if old Anita, what she looked like. How big her behind was and with all that. I don't have those images. Not saying that I as a man, you can envision anything. But I don't have an experience with that vision. You know what I mean? And so an experience of something has ties to things that if you do watch porn, okay, you gonna expose yourself, and eventually you keep watching that, it's gonna fester something in you. But like, okay, I don't want to watch this no more. I'm trying to find someone that actually do what I just saw, right? Straight up. And when that starts to happen, now you're in a perverted understanding of sex. Sex is natural. But when sex is perverted, then there's no one that can satisfy that appetite. I don't care who you settle down with. What you seeing on the camera, first of all, is on the camera. Cut. That ain't real. You know what I mean? And so now you're chasing something that's really not authentic. It's perverted. And I think a lot of our young men and our young boys are seeing sex from perversion. And you're never going to see the power of sex until you experience it the way it was designed. I mean, just having an orgasm and that's boom, boom, and that's it. And that's all you get, not the deal. You haven't even begun to understand what sex and intimacy is. And I think a lot of us as men, we're being robbed of the power of sex. You're being robbed because you're only seeing it from its perverted perspective. And I think that's is sad because that's why relationships are the way they are. Divorce, there's no satisfaction. you already going into a relationship with options.
Mm-hmm.
Like your wife is not really getting a true test of your fidelity because in the back of your mind you're like, well, this don't work out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, or if you done had all these women and you really want to settle down with this person, but then the sex ain't how so and so did it. So your wife can never fulfill you.
All right.
She never can. You've already given whoever gonna settle down with you. You 9 out of 10 times, there's a lot that woman need to go make sure that, okay, I know I'm getting in with this joker and I know this lifestyle this joker live. And for me, it's like going into the mall or going to anywhere in Gainesville. I ain't gotta worry about no joker saying what he had.
Yeah. That's
or
real.
what he done did. I ain't even gotta worry about no man say that he done sucked her. Or he done did anything. He done killed. That's the farthest thing from my mind. But we know what's also powerful. My wife can go anywhere in the city.
Man,
and say the same thing. Susan ain't never
spitting,
had this.
dog.
So already mentally half of the fight is done in our relationship. No, we ain't comparing ourselves to nobody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The only fight now we got is to maintain our shalom in our marriage, because over a period of time you do get around guys like, man, you mean to tell me you ain't been, boy, you don't know what you missing.
All right.
Right?
Nothing.
That's the only, if it was a temptation, that's the only way I'm getting it. But for me, because I'm a spiritual man and I understand from a biblical standpoint the role of sex and why the Most High gave it. So I already have an anchor that's beyond your temptation. I already got something that had already anchored me. You can't move me because that desire was built with an anchor. You know what I'm saying? So you telling me what it was and how many women you had, good for you, bro.
Right.
I'm straight. You needed 3 or 4. I got 1.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And even we living in intimacy before we even hit the bed. We satisfied with each other's presence, with each other's sense, with each other's flaws. We excited about the flaw my wife has. I'm excited about it. You know what I mean? And so there's a level of intimacy that I'm on where sex is on a whole nother level.
Man,
you know what I'm saying? It's on a whole nother level. You know what I'm saying?
I saw a guy on Instagram. He was like, I just don't understand. How you marry a woman and you ain't even tested it out? I'm like, and so I wasn't gonna say nothing, but I said, no, I gotta say something. I said, bro, like, what sense does that make? I'm like, if you go into a marriage and you ain't never been with nobody, and a woman go into a marriage and she ain't never been with no one, and y'all both get into the marriage, who are y'all comparing it to? What comparison is there? There's no comparison. Like, the only time you saying what you're saying because you've had other people and she's had other people. That's the only reason why we compare, is because we have something to compare it to. And so when I say that, he was replying back to everybody else. He just left mine alone.
They ain't want to hear that.
I'm like,
and sometimes you cut them. Sometimes you maybe went on like, dang, I ain't never saw it like that.
All right.
But to your point it goes back to that when I was a young man coming out of high school, going into college. This brother, he preached this word when he was in college, and he was saying, start nothing, won't be nothing. You know what I mean? And he took some of the key areas of young men's life that you deal with. If you never go down that path, there's some fights you just ain't never gonna have to fight.
What?
You know what I'm saying? And he went down some of the most prevalent issues among young men. And I remember that altar call was packed with young men. Like, man, I done crossed the line. What do I do? You know what I'm saying? What I do? And I think like being around, like, you can become what you're around. So if you're around positive men, you're around people who have them beat the giant. Don't be around people that can't beat no giant. Because when the giant come in, you're like, boy, man, you about to fold. You know what I'm saying? And I think that sex is that giant for us as men because it's been distorted. And sex is good. Don't get me wrong. Sex is, it's powerful. Some of the stuff, if I could imagine what my life would have been if I would have crossed that boundary. I wouldn't have the wife I had. I wouldn't have the children. I probably would have had kids. I would just been the other testimony. You know what I'm saying? But there's a power in the testimony to say, I ain't never had no rough day.
All right.
Ain't that a powerful testimony?
Yeah.
I ain't never had a rough day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
I think like people say, well, you gotta test the water. You gotta know what you're getting. Well, a real farmer can go to a fruit. He ain't gotta taste it. He can look at it.
Yeah.
And he can tell this right.
All right.
You got people who so experts in their field, they ain't got to experience the whole. They can look and say,
all right,
that tree rotten.
Mm-hmm.
They can look at the leaves and see. So you should be able to look at a woman without testing and look and say,
you know, yeah, man,
that's a good lady right there. That's a good lady. And so I just, you know, I think we gotta see. I do that on my job. I try and inspire my young, and it's hard because pornography today, what pornography used to be today, the stuff that I've had to, Mr. Lewis, this is what he watching. Mama, hold on, don't show Mr. Lewis that. I got to unsee that now. You know what I'm saying? I got a supervisor. He was like, well, you can't unring a bell. You can't unring it. You know, but if that's what our kids are subjecting themselves to over and over and over, it's like their innocence is gone. It's like, I don't know what to tell Johnny. I'm like, Johnny is in middle school getting oral sex.
Shoot.
Johnny, I need y'all to do it. I'm looking at mama like, Johnny gone. You know, listen, he need prayer. You know what I'm saying? He need, you know, he gonna need some counseling to kind of undo what's been. They 14, they're 15. So a lot of these kids, man, I got kids who are in elementary. I've seen kids in elementary on their phone watching twerk videos over and over. Like, just TikTok is the devil. I'm looking at the mic, I'm looking at the camera, I say, it is the devil. These social medias are just, our kids are going to be, they're getting robbed of relationships that they'll never experience. It's like the damage has been done. And I'm not not saying that there's not hope. I'm just telling you what's happening.
Well, that's what's real.
On a mass scale, like it's happening even now as I'm talking. It's a challenge for even my own kids, you know what I'm saying? Because Fortnite, I mean, I'm watching Fortnite, I'm seeing the skin, what they call it, the skins? You got to buy the skins. The skins, I'm like, why is this woman built like this? You know what I'm saying? It's like the enemy, the industry, these people know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Better believe.
Don't think for a second that they know the science behind what happens to the mind when it's overexposed.
Okay.
You know, and I tell people that I work with all the time, I'm like, listen, when our kids are in class, and you're telling them to sit down for 45 minutes, and I get this analogy all the time. I watch my son play Fortnite. I'm talking about PC style. I ain't talking about the controller. I'm talking about he got the he got the PC the keyboard, and he moving 1,000. I don't know how he typing that thing, but he moving the man. He building walls. At the same time, there's music in the background. So you got like so many sensories are being exposed at the same time. Then he got some headphones on. He got his friends listening, telling him, "Hey, where you at? Josiah, where you at? I'm over here." You know, and so there's like 20 things going on at one time. I'm sitting there watching my son, like, okay, now I got to go tell my son to go sit in that classroom for 45 minutes and shut his mouth and listen to that teacher who ain't gonna talk like this and that and do this. And like, when I talk to kids, I like to be very theatrical because I know that would draw them in. These teachers they're finna sit down in the chair first of all and be like, all right, turn to page 7. So you talking about like and what I'm getting at is that level of exposure, we start talking about sexual exposure. How do you recapture the innocence of that child to at one day see who was supposed to be his wife and not see her in a perverted way? They say, "Oh, she good, folks. That's all she can do for me." You know how they do it. That's all. That's all a woman is to me. And I think that our women, man, is sad because I mean, you go to Atlanta, bro. You know, men have vacated the women, and the women don't even have faith that the men and then most of the men, like my men's come out of prison. We talking about we might talk about it on both sides. You know what I'm saying? What's happening to our men who have been touched? I was talking to a guy last week. I ain't even gonna say his name, but he was like, "B, when I knew y'all back when we was coming up, man, he was like, y'all didn't know that as a child I had been touched repeatedly by men, women and men, but the men thing that happened." When it happened by a man, he said, "Man, I fought the rest of my life trying to prove I wasn't that experienced." He said, and I didn't realize that in my journeys, because what this brother did, he was finding ways to try and cope with this. Like, why did this happen to me? and fight that demon or that urge that begins to question your sexuality. You begin to question it. And he said it wasn't until he was able to kind of talk about what had happened to him, to some professionals. He said, it was one time I almost told somebody. So you remember that time I was like, man, I was at the brink, but it didn't happen, And sitting in the van talking with him, and I was just like, man, you just don't know that sometimes why men may go to the extremity of having sex with so many women is because they're trying to erase something that happened to them when they was a child. So sometimes it's not even about promiscuity. Sometimes it's about something dark has happened to that person. And they're trying to prove, oh, I ain't that. And so they go through these women, but they're not satisfied. And so if they don't get the healing and they get married, they never can stay married because that incident, it owns them. It owns them for the rest of their life. And so I think that there's so many layers to this that's beyond the natural eye or what we see every day. And we're kind of mad with this generation. We don't understand what has happened to our young generation. We're trying to deal with it at face value because what you see the anger, you see the emotional display. Oh, he ain't gonna beat nothing, but that he was a child one day and he was exposed. Whether sometimes it went sexual, but he was exposed to some abnormal behavior that became the nomenclature of his upbringing. And so it's the reason why at 14, 15, 16, he's already having sex. And our girls are just putting it out there. You know what I'm saying? The imagination. And you got to have no imagination now. Our young girls are now built like women, and they going to school with the apple bottoms and the tightly fitted clothes, and some man has probably touched them. And so promiscuity is started at an early age. And so there's a lot of dynamics to why, for me, I was sheltered from all that. I didn't know a lot of those girls who maybe was like that. They were not allowed in my sphere of influence. My mom kind of coaxed us away from that. And I praise the Most High for that, man. I probably noticed something my mom was being a little aggressive. Like, hey, no, mommy, why you did that girl like that? Boy, don't have that girl come to my house no more. She better not call my house. And my mom had a sixth sense, though. She kind of could feel people's nature, who they really were. And before going through that relationship, she'd cut it off, And sometimes you thought mom was being judgmental. But now that I'm at this age, I'm trying to do the same thing for my kids. Like, nah.
That's real. Man, it's something you just said just then. It's so powerful, I think, for us to sit down with the kids of this generation. And when I say kid, I'm talking 18, 19-year-olds. I was talking with an 18-year-old girl a couple of months ago. And I was talking with her about this subject because that's when it came up on Instagram that day. And I was just sitting there on Instagram. I'm like, man, I'm finna say something to this joke. You know what I'm saying? So I had told her, she was a person that I work with. And I was sitting there, I was telling her about what the person said, and I was just sitting there talking with her, man. And more and more I'm explaining to her all this stuff. And she was like, dang, Aunt, you know it. She was like, that's real. She was like, and that's kind of what happened with me. She was like, being 14 and 15, messing with older men. I'm like, huh? And she was like, yeah. She was like, it. And now it's like, as I got older, it's something that's just in me now. And I'm looking at her and I could tell she's like, she grew up like one of them fast girls. I'm like, and I used to be telling her, I'm like, girl, man, don't be letting these dudes in here, talk. I mean, they definitely gonna be trying to holler at you. And she was new. And I'm telling her, I'm like, man, listen, they already talking about you behind the scenes, who that is, this and that. And, I was training. And I'm talking with her and I'm just giving her the real, like, listen, man, these boys finna be on you like hound dogs. Yeah. And they want that. Mm-hmm. And I can tell she kind of about that. But, I'm kind of giving her the caution, look for this. I mean, this was coming in. That day we were having that conversation and she said that, and it just struck something in my mind like, dang, so that stuff really be real like that. Like they really, they have these experiences at these young ages, sometimes with grown men. no wonder they like this now that she 18 and yeah, she probably getting off now because of it's like she's had this, and like you say, sometimes they don't know how to deal with that experience, so the way they deal with it is keep doing it more and more and more and more and more. They trying to hide from that, but it's like ain't no hiding from that. Like that thing in here.
Yeah, and at the end, it just breed depression. At the end, just breed depression. Like I get the last point too. Most men who breed dogs are very particular about what animal gonna breed with his dog, his thoroughbred. People who breed animals are like, it got to be a perfect. How a woman has to understand that. First of all, your body is sacred. Like your body is like a temple. Like there's nothing like the woman. Her makeup, her body, how God made her. I mean, she's a wonder. She's one of the greatest wonders on the planet. You know, and the Bible talks about that when God presented this woman to Adam. First thing Adam did, although he had never seen a woman, when he saw this creature, he was like, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. Like he said a mouthful in that statement. And women have to kind of own their beauty and their sanctity and protect it and reserve it. You know what I mean? And not cast your pearls, to swine. You know what I'm saying? These men, when they look at you, they have their desire. It's not even about you. It's about being able to corrupt your sanctity, and I just want to encourage our women to take back, man, your pride, take back your beauty, your essence, and hey, it is a bad statement, but if you're gonna give it away, I'm gonna make them pay for it, but. Don't just give and I'm saying that facetiously. I'm just saying, don't throw yourselves away. You have a precious jewel that the Most High has given you, and I would love for you to share it with the King, someone rightly befitted to hold on to the throne, which is you. You don't give the throne to someone that's unlearned, that's undisciplined, that don't have wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. You want to give your throne to someone that can raise a nation. All right. You know what I'm saying? And that's what women got to understand, that they are the greatest creation. You know what I mean? They are the nation. Yeah. And for me, I didn't want a woman that had been with somebody else. And you know what I'm saying? Some food ain't leftovers. You just get rid of it. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't want to have to deal with the possibility or just the thought that some man had to lay down with my wife before. Because I know what happens in the bedroom when I'm with my wife intimately. And to imagine that some other man was doing this, I can't handle that. I can't handle that. The Bible says that the guy, he's a jealous. I'm jealous for mine. You know what I'm saying? And so I like I said, that whole concept for me is on a whole nother level. Most men may say, that nigga, he's on his own. That's fine. You know what I'm saying? I'm living in bliss. You know what I mean? I'm happy. You know what I'm saying? I'm thriving. And I know that is the order. I know that how I've been able to navigate my life. I believe that that's the order for young men. I believe that's the order for young men. And I want to give that to other young men that I come in contact with. Definitely my sons. I got 3 of them. So I'm trying to raise 3 of them that's not going to give themselves to the lustful desires of this society right now. Morality is all-time low right now. Everything go, bro. Everything. Man, I can't wait to have them conversations with my daughters and my son, straight up. And I'm telling them what's real. I ain't holding back no punches, because I feel like you say right now, everything is, it's all right. No, it ain't all right. It ain't gonna be all right, and it ain't all right. No, it ain't. And I ain't got to them conversations yet with my kids, but with my 8-year-old, it's different things that I be talking with her about. And sometimes she'll say, well, Daddy, sometimes you be scaring me about the future. I say, I ain't trying to scare you, baby. I'm just trying to tell you what's real. That's right. Don't take what I'm saying as, don't be scared, but be prepared. Right. Because I'm going to tell you what's real for the rest of your life. And, sometimes, she'll ask you about certain things, and I just give her what's real. And I say, well, baby, sometimes some people hate you. And some people hate you guts. But why not? The world ain't waiting until they get old. All right. TikTok ain't waiting. All right. For real. TikTok ain't waiting for them to become age appropriate. to see a girl with an hourly figure on come through your screen. They ain't waiting. Right. You know what I mean? And so we have to fortify and on the front end, be proactively engaged intellectually with our children. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got to expose them to all the dangers that go on. But when a girl do that, Joey, she ain't about nothing. Right. And so I have a quick story. I remember little girl, we got in my neighborhood when COVID happened, everybody had their kids, tucked away. Not me, my kids was outside. There was a few people in the neighborhood that was like, oh, you two? They can play together. Come on, right? And so, but my kids, I allow them to. I mean, my neighborhood now, the person who stayed before, that was like, don't nobody come out, and people come back and visit that particular area and be like, where these kids come from? I've turned that little block into a hub. Kids would come play. And I remember, the little girl came out there, and little cute little girl, pretty little girl, and she started twerking. I didn't see her. My son came and told me. And he told her, like, chill, what are you doing? Chill, like, chill with all that. I won't do that. And she was kind of shocked because, in they little areas, kids, if a girl do that, that kind of, most kids, they into that now. These little kids like when little girls do that. And I was good to see. My son was like, man, Daddy, man, I couldn't believe she did that. Yeah. I'm looking at my son like, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Because he understands that that's not what a woman is. That's not what a little girl should be doing. And so they big sister, she, my daughter, she on a whole nother level when it comes to intellectual thought, being able to speak, being able to convey, peeping game before it happened. My daughter kind of know this stuff. And she ain't snobby about it. Like, she understand the world of being young at her age and knowing how girls vibe and knowing when shade being put out and when it ain't being put out. And she knows how to handle all that at such a young age. She's only in the 8th grade. But that's who they got to look up to. They got to look up to their big sister. So she protective of them. And, they protect of her, but, she ain't even into that lifestyle. She shielded herself away from guys that are boisterous and loud and all that. And she got old heart, so, some things she ain't got to worry about. But that's a whole nother story because that got its own challenges, But I think it's important to be the first one to teach our children. Don't let someone outside the house instruct your children about things that should be coming from you as a father and as a mother.
Man, that's real. But I got so much more I could get to, but I don't want to keep it too long.
I got you.
But man, I had to go there because, that's what we do on Dad Can We Talk. I want to talk about that type of stuff, man, and you was the perfect person. I've been waiting to find somebody I can have. I'm telling you, I told my wife, I said, dang, I'm just going to have to wait till Tim Tebow have kids and I get him on Dad Can We Talk. Because ain't nobody else I'm going to be able to have the conversation with, because I just, that's something that I think about a lot, bro. Like, I just be like, damn, bro, I should have never gave. And that female wasn't worth it. She wasn't worth it. She wasn't. I'm just like.
Where they at now?
Well, hope I'll never see them ever again in my life. No. Seriously, bro. And it's like, damn, bro. Like, it just was not worth it, bro. And I just been waiting. I'm like, dang, I don't know who I'm going to talk with. And you was the person. So I had to go. I had to go down that hole with you, man, because I feel like that's something that people need to hear and people need to see a man like you, who you still the freaking cool dude. Like, people make it seem like, oh, you must gonna be some lame. Like, man, this Byron, man, this is Gabriel Lewis in the flesh. And this man saved himself for marriage. And so it's like, it's possible. It's possible to do it and not be a lame and still be cool and still be a leader in your community, still do all these great things. Yeah. Like, people make it seem like when I say that stuff to people be looking at me saying, well, I don't know what you talking about, cuz. Like, but I'm like, I just wish that I ain't speaking for y'all, boy. That's where I wish I was at. Because I understand it. Like, that junk ain't helped me at all, bro. Like, it ain't helped me in not one way. It ain't helped me get better with it. None of that. Like, it's just, it was
I promise you, to the audience, man, to listening viewers, I was not a lame by far none. I've always been, I ain't saying I'm the cool, I'm the finest looking cat out down the block, but I got a way of carrying myself, and I have a way of making an impression on the things that I want to make an impression on. If I set my eye on something, my talk game gonna if
my
looks can't do,
yeah,
my talk game gonna make up for it, you know. And I always I'm a charmer by nature. I'm a pleaser. I love to please. I don't say that. Don't think about for my wife. She can see it that way.
Yeah.
But just in general, like I'm given to hospitality. That if people come in my presence and I'm doing something for them, they're gonna get the best of me. You know what I mean? If I have you over for dinner, it's gonna be 5-star. It ain't finna be, you know, I'm from the time you walk in, the atmosphere gonna be like, dang, you know what I'm saying? I aim to please. That's just who I am. I'm a server, I'm a giver. And so, you know, that in relationships with people that I've met, especially women in my life, have relationships. Women have always respected me as a man, even though I was a young teenager, about 17, 18, I got around older women. I remember an old woman was like, I was charming, flirty, you know, doing things. She was older than me. So, I'm like, I'm safe. I can flirt. She said, she grabbed me. She was like, don't tell me, boy.
Yeah.
She was like, you know how to press people women buttons. You need to chill.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It kind of like made me feel like, oh, I was doing that, but I never thought that I was going to make that impression on her. Yeah. And so, to me, growing up, I wasn't the geek. You know what I'm saying? My name was respected among my peers. I was a great basketball player. They knew that you couldn't come to my little area and have beef. I was just gonna fold. You know what I mean? I remember Cold Cock slapping the kid. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Kid that they thought like, dang, Byron just smacked that joke. You know, and nothing happened after that. But playing football, kids respected. We were athletes. We were funny. A lot of girls liked us as kids, respectfully. You had those women, you had girls that was, you could tell that they wanted to go a little back of the bushes and expose you and teach you a little something. But I was always trying to run for the women. So that I don't want nobody to feel like, he probably was lame coming up.
All right.
Yeah, no, that's not the case. It's far from.
Straight up, man. But I want to ask you this. So if there's a father out there listening right now, young, old, what would be, give them one piece of advice, that young father, that old father, talk to them. If you could just give them one piece of advice, if this was just that, if you had one thing to tell them, what would you tell them about concerning fatherhood?
Man, I would definitely tell them to be around people who have accomplished family. If you a young man, because if you're around a gentleman that's aged, and he has a wife been married to for a long time, his children are being raised right, you need to surround yourself around individuals like that to glean from them. Especially if you've lived your life, you've had your experiences, you've kind of crossed some lines that you just can't get back, and it's impacted, who you are as a person. You feel like those moments are part of who you are now. Like I ain't gonna never change that, and that's not true. You definitely can be around people that can reintroduce who you are. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's the misnomer that, well, it's gonna happen now. I am who I am. You have to be satisfied with the way I am. No, you can change, and I think that I want people to challenge themselves to be able to and be your first critic. Be critical. You be critical of you. Don't let other people point out your frailties, because more than likely we're gonna fight that. And one of the things that I own is I'm my own critic. I'm honest with myself. I'm able to look at myself in the morning and the day and checkmate myself and say, you was wrong today, Doc. Straight know what I'm saying? And sometimes we know when we wrong, but our pride and we want to be right, and we trying to hide the hurt. And I don't live my life in hurt. I don't have that. And I think that if you're hurting, or if you have these things that you fail to face, and you're doing things that kind of run from it, you need to face those things and get around some people who've been through the fire. And not only that, people who have never been to the fire and they're successful, and find out how do they do that and learn and grow. One of the 7 habits of highly effective people is sharpen the saw, which means that in your life you're always going to become sharper and sharper and sharper, and you got to wet the blade and you got to keep yourself on that cutting edge. And I think a lot of times we don't work on ourselves. We think that once you become a certain age, you are who you are. No, at 40, I'm still becoming better. I'm becoming the best me that I can possibly be. And every year is an opportunity for me to reach perfection. Although I strive for perfection, I've never reached it. And that's my mindset, that I'm always becoming better and better and better. So I want to encourage us to surround yourself with people that have accomplished great things, not monetarily, but I'm talking about morality. You know, there's many people who are wicked that got a lot of things. I'm not telling you running because you don't want to know how they got that when they wicked, what they have done to accomplish that. But I'm talking about people who are content in their moral code, and they are embodying a family, and they're involved in their community, and they're giving themselves totally to the people around them. Those are the people you need to be looking to because they ain't got nothing to gain. They all have to give.
Man, last question. If you could talk to the 18-year-old version of Gabriel, man, 18-year-old you, sit down just how me and you talking, and you can look that joker in his face, and you had the chance to give him one piece of advice, what would you say to that young man? Knowing everything you know now.
Study the things in for me, when I think about where I am today, I'm gonna answer this question this way: where I am today and my trajectory for my pursuit in life, the past 3 years have been transformation for me, and it's not because of anything that anyone lacked. As you heard my interview today, I can look back at the age of 18 and had some wisdom that I'm now coming across now. I would probably be, you know, and I say this with no disrespect to any of the people that have impacted my life, but I'll be further along in my physical state, my mental state, my spiritual state, my monetary, my economics. I would be further along at the age of 18 about just money investments and all these things that now, you know, you're kind of the prime of your age. And you talk about it in American society, when you reach your 40s, people are like, oh, it is now. People feel like you're on your downslope when you hit 40. But I sensed a rebirthing. You know, where I am now. I'm new again now, where I'm at in my wisdom and my awareness of what I believe I've been called to do. It's like I've been born again. And I said 18 in every aspect of, like, when you talk about from 1 to 12 is like very crucial, and it's important that we instill our kids the values of what makes us great in society. And I'm talking about monetary. I'm not talking about things that you can acquire, tangible things. I'm talking about those characteristics and personality traits that we fail to instill at age 12. It's important that they have what they have at age 12 to be the next 12 to 18. And then 18 from 24. And 24 pretty much from there on is when you really get ready to embark on your life. A lot of times, you're 18, now it's time for you. No, you ain't ready yet. 24, the brain doesn't fully develop in the frontal lobe until they be 24. I think at 18, there was a level of wisdom and knowledge about becoming the man that I was getting ready to be for the rest of my life. Had I had those things, I would be further along.
Man, my exact thoughts for myself. But man, listen, y'all, my man has given y'all a lot that y'all can stand on, a lot of things that y'all can go look into. And man, it's just, this was a lot for me. You know, I needed this today, man. I'm just happy to be back doing these. I took a couple of weeks off, man. This is what I miss. Like, I need this from other brothers, man. I need these sit downs. I need these talks, these conversations, because I always get something out of it for me, you know, that I can take to go forward to try to be a better dad, you know, being a better man, you know, and that's what I'm striving for every day. And, you know, sit down and talk with you, just to hear all of this, you know, it's just what I needed in this time, man. And I just want to say thank you, bro, you know, for coming on, being real, being honest, and, you know, spitting these gems, man, because I hope people pay attention to this, man. You know, there's a lot of things in this interview that us as men, we can teach our sons, teach our daughters. You know, we just, man, it was fire, bro.
All praise, man.
It was fire, bro.
And all praise, all esteem to the Most High, man. You know, that's a lot of what has made me, even before I made the transition in my worship toward the Most High.
It's real.
Being in church, you know, all that has kind of made me who I am. But then it comes a point in time where you begin to seek your destiny and for yourselves, you know, outside of, you know, the climate that my parents had built. You know, even when I turned 18, I was still kind of involved in the things that my mom and dad had kind of reared me up in. So I was very involved in church. But as I began to study that Bible for myself, it was the thing that just transformed me, because I know I didn't see it no more as just a religious faith belief. It became the summation of who I am as a man internally, and how I would impact anyone that I come in contact with. I saw that in that Bible, that this thing ain't just, you know, a religious belief for me personally. It's going to steward me in everything that I do, spiritually, physically, emotionally, financially, relationship. It has it all for me. And when I realized my purpose in that book and who I was through that book, I was reborn again.
Yeah.
And so I give all praise for my my desire to know the Most High in my time. It is the summation of why I can say what I'm saying today, and have the shalom and the peace that I have. And so I you know, this is not of my own, only in the sense that I've yielded myself to the yearning that we all get, that voice that's speaking to us, and we run from it because sometimes we're so busy doing things when we don't never get to hear that still small voice. But I've learned how to kind of be still and think long enough about what it is I want to do, and it's in that time that I've been doing that I begin to hear this voice. Some people say it's the inner God in you, but I believe that it's the Most High, who is like getting away from the noise, getting away from all the day to day, and just stealing away in the secret place. In Psalm 91, it says, "He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High, where he'll abide in the shadows of the Almighty." So now, in my secret time, I've been able to be in the presence of the Most High, and He's been stewarding me, not doctrine, not man, not what someone done told me. But I've had this experience now where I've been able to hear the Most High in ways that I read about in the Bible.
Yeah.
I would read about it like, hey, why that ain't happening to me? Why, you know, because I was seeking Him after what someone told me. But I began to seek Him for what that scripture said He is. He is a rewarder to those that what? Diligently. So that diligence is like every day going at my time praying and waiting for, like, he ain't said nothing. Next day, diligently. And in that diligence, I heard a voice. Yeah. And people can say, well, you just saw you in. All I know is that I see the world differently. I see people differently. You know, I see my wife differently. I see my children. I see my job. I see everything that I used to do, and I thought I was doing it for this reason. Now I realize the true purpose of why I've been put in this earth. And when we as people realize that, the world will be a better place.
This man been spitting for a whole hour and 43 minutes and like 10 seconds.
I didn't even know.
My dog been spitting, man. Like I said, if y'all don't get it, I mean, that's on you. But I got something. And I'm going to take this thing and I'm going to be better, man. You know, and that's my prayer for everybody that listens to this, man. You know, that we will be better men, better husbands, better dads. For some of us that ain't out there, that better partners, just period. Like, let's just be better, man. Like, that's all we can be and focus on. So I pray that if something in this that spoke to you and it causes you to make a move on something, do that, man. You know, better yourself. And, you know, like I always say, we're going to continue to come with this, man. I got plenty of other dads that's going to come and bless these mics. And we're going to keep it pushing, man, because Dad, can we talk? This ain't just something that we just it's going to be gone, you know, in a couple weeks. No, like, we here. And I got a lot of other dads that's going to be coming on here, man, that's going to be sharing a lot of different stories, man. We all come from these different backgrounds, got all these different stories, but all together, at the end of the day, we're dads. Right. And that's why I always say, Dad, Can We Talk is by dads, for dads. You know, this is who we speaking to. You know, no disrespect to the women out there, man. We love y'all. One day I'm gonna have a Mom, Can We Talk for y'all. So, but as for now, we speaking to our brothers out here, man. We trying to uplift our brothers. You know, we building something here. Y'all continue to stay on the lookout. For Men, Can We Talk? We're gonna be trying to launch that in the next few weeks, maybe a month or two. And we're gonna be speaking to men, and we're gonna be getting together the men, just men in general, man. We're gonna have young men, older men. We're gonna have a lot of stuff going on. We're gonna have some musicians. We're gonna have athletes. We're gonna have all type of stuff going on, man. So this Can We Talk network is about to be birthed. You know, so y'all just stay tuned. I thank all my supporters out there, everybody that support me, everybody that keep me lifted up, everybody that pray for me, everybody that call me and just check up on me, man. I love y'all, man. You know, all my brothers out there that keep me up, man. So we're going to go ahead and end it like that. Go check on this wife, check on these kids. And listen, we up out of here. Bang, bang.